But yeah, 51 points a game allowing on average. That's top 5, as you saw, in the country, and not surprising.
It was one of the things in the offseason. Kara Lawson and her staff made a commitment to the defensive end, and it has certainly paid off this year. There is a quick 3 try from Todd, which is off the mark. Deanna Todd, who is averaging 13 points a game over her last 4. She's played well of late. Inside opportunity for Kennedy Brown at 6'6", the junior from Kansas. Couldn't hit, and Boston College is back on the run.
Really good help there by JoJo Lacey of Boston College. Eagles turn it over as that slips through the hands of Todd, but Lacey coming in to block the shot on the 6'6" interior player.
This is starting lineup for Duke. It's been this starting lineup for most of the season for the Blue Devils. Who at 20-3, they are 10-2 in the ACC. In first place thanks to a road victory at Notre Dame on Sunday. First time that Duke had ever beaten Notre Dame in South Bend. And just add that to the resume of Kara Lawson in her 3rd season at the helm of Duke. Of course, she was an assistant coach with the Celtics a couple of years ago right here in Boston.
Not shown her broadcasting resume as well. She was one of the best analysts, both the men's and women's college basketball games when she worked for our ESPN family of networks.
Celeste Taylor comes back into the play, nearly got a steal, but Gakdang found it and puts it up for the first 2 of the game.
Well, we talked about her offense coming around over these last couple of weeks. It was like found money there. Ball bounding right into her hands, right in the middle of the paint.
3rd offensive rebound, and the putback is good. Kennedy Brown with her first 2 points, coming in as a transfer from Oregon State this year. There are a lot of transfers on this Duke roster. If the 8 newcomers, 5 transfers into the program this year.
Tough catch there for Gakdang. 4 of their 5 starters transferred into the program under Coach Lawson.
Taylor couldn't finish at the rim, and a rebound down to Gakdang. Allie Van Timmeren getting the start today for Boston College. Her first start of the season. Coach Mack looking for a little bit more size against this Duke team. And the 3-ball, it's good. Van Timmeren, whose game has certainly come to life more lately. Ever since the turn of the calendar, she's been good in ACC play.
As she really has, and being rewarded with that first start also gives Andrea Daly a chance to come off the bench, which she hadn't done since the month of November, and give her some time to settle into the game.
Taylor working against Gakdang, and Celeste Taylor with her first 2. A senior who's been an outstanding defensive player, but also getting her points, 12 points a game this year.
That leads the team. Duke doesn't score a ton. For a team that's in the top 10, you'd think the points per game would be a little higher. They beat you with defense, but Taylor's the best scorer they have.
Possession will stay here.
Allie Van Timmeren letting it fly here from that right wing. Beautiful left-handed stroke. Putting her into that starting 5, paying immediate dividends for BC.
Lacey, 4 to shoot, falling away, and that was a bit strong. And a foul on the rebound. Gakdang reaching for it, and then once she couldn't secure it, ended up fouling Elizabeth Balogun, the senior from Nigeria.
It's going to be a battle on the boards all night for Maria Gakdang against the big interior presences that Duke has, and you see her knocking the Duke player to the ground, going for that loose ball. BC obviously can ill afford to have Gakdang get into foul problems.
Balogun didn't have the angle there. Good defense by Todd for Boston College. But it's another offensive rebound for Duke, and it's Reagan Richardson, the sophomore from Charlotte, who came in as a transfer from Georgia this year, who has 2. A 6-5 Duke lead, and that pass was a bit too strong. There's Joanna Burnaby back to be the head coach in her 5th season at Boston College. hoping for her team to come out to a better start today. So that was something the last couple of games. They fell behind against Syracuse. Did some good things in the second half to come back, but just didn't quite have enough to overcome the early deficit.
She is 3-1 in her first 4 seasons coaching against Duke. Had a big win in Durham last year that we'll recap for you last season. Get that later in the broadcast.
Taylor again to the bucket, not there.
Really had great modicum of success against these Blue Devils.
And Timorin on the drive and got bumped. Allie put her head down. She was upset because she wanted to finish the drive. The foul was indeed against Duke.
Here's Andrea Daly. Talked about her coming off the bench for the first time since the season's first month. At 22 consecutive games started, Eric, before tonight. Let's see what sitting on that bench for the first 4 minutes of the game does for her today.
Gakdang spinning and got it inside. Good move by Gakdang. Showed you her numbers off the top. 16 points a game over the last 4. Double figures in all 4 of those games. There's Day Wilson, the ACC Freshman of the Year last year. It was not close.
She can hit
triple.
And she can hit that shot too. Surprising how that went over the rim, just off the backboard. She's been shooting as well as any Duke player the last few weeks.
Todd on the drive was well defended. Mia Heidi in the game for the first time. Now it's Todd again. That one goes up over the backboard, and that will send us to a timeout on the floor. Eagles have not had nearly the shots that Duke has had, but they've been efficient and have a 1-point lead. Support the K-Yow Cancer Fund in partnership with the WBCA and the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Donate today at kyow.com. This amazing initiative all across women's college basketball, and K-Yow, who is a legend down in the Research Triangle area in North Carolina, of course, 34 years as the head coach of NC State, including winning a 1988 Olympic gold medal. And, you know, it's amazing. You think about all the programs down in the Research Triangle right now. Duke, North Carolina, and NC State were all ranked in the top 10 at some point this year. That's only the second time that's happened since 2000. So college basketball and women's college basketball in that region is about as relevant as it's been as a trio in a long time, as that three-pointer is knocked down by Taylor.
Beautiful looking jump shot for the senior, the Texas transfer. What a legacy that K-Yow leaves. It is a remarkable effort that has been coordinated throughout this sport. Throughout the month of February, you see these games all over. You know exactly what you're watching when you see the team wearing the pink uniforms. We certainly encourage anybody who has the means to visit kyow.com and give whatever you can. It goes to a great cause.
Duke is going to have their Play for K game coming up this weekend down in Cameron against Miami on Sunday. Pass was too tall for Gakdang, so possession back to the Devils.
Empty possessions that you really can't afford against a top 10 team. Entry pass, as you said, just a little bit out of the reach of Maria Gakdang there from Mayer. You see, Boston College's defense has done a nice job here at the outset, but 5 quick ones out of that media timeout for Duke.
And that is Balagoon, who started her career at Georgia Tech, is Daly forced to call a timeout, and will step aside for 30 seconds as well. 3:39 to go in the first. 11-7, Duke. Well, 5 points to lead all scorers for Celeste Taylor and knock down her first triple of the game.
Well, she's known for her defense. She's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate nationally, but hitting a beautiful jump shot. BC was prepared for this full court press. They worked on it all week coming into the game. They had to burn a timeout against it though already. Lacey unable to hit the rim.
Well, one of the things that Kara Lawson and her staff looked at in the offseason and kind of decided we were just too passive defensively last year. So among the things, they wanted to be disruptive and realized there's really no reason we can't press or at least pick up the whole way. And they've done that all year long. And one of the reasons they are atop the ACC as we hit the midpoint of February. Vanessa De Jesus, the junior in the game for the first time. There's his second shot in a row from that spot by Elizabeth Balagoon. And the senior who was selected to the Shara Miller Small Forward of the Year midseason top 10 has 4.
You're not kidding about the same spot on the court. Exact same spot, right in that mid-range outside the foul line. Sweet spot for Balagoon. A little over-aggressive there for Mia Heidi. Push in the back of Gakdang.
Mia Heidi, who came in as a grad transfer from Tulane.
You were mentioning all the transfers. Of the 10 players in their regular rotation, 7 of them transferred at one point in the last couple of years to Duke. Using that portal is Kara Lawson to her advantage.
Gakdang with the catch and the lay-in.
And a terrific entry pass there from JoJo Lacey. That was a tough angle to slice that pass through and into Gakdang, who had established position. He had to get the ball there first for her to be able to score.
I think we've seen good active footwork from Maria Gakdang early in this game. There's a nice take by Oliver. First points of the game for Jordan Oliver.
Nice to have your backup point guard like Jordan Oliver, as experienced as she is coming from Baylor. She's been a starter at points this season for Duke.
Daly inside and a traveling violation call.
Boston College 5 turnovers now after that travel. Previous trip down the court though. Watch this pass get through. Perfectly delivered there by Lacey. Gakdang right now has 6 of BC's 9 points. The turnovers though, I was just mentioning. BC with 5, Duke has not turned it over yet. That's how they've been able to build this lead.
See only one starter on the floor right now for Duke. They go, as you were talking about, their rotation 10 deep, and they're willing to play. Taylor is the team's leader in minutes at just 28.6 minutes per game. It allows them to be active on the defensive end of the floor.
Frankly, it's a luxury that Boston College just doesn't have. It's basically a complete 180 from Duke with the roster situation.
Daly with 4 on the timer, couldn't find it. And then it was turned over, but an over and back violation called against Boston College, saying that Lacey made contact with it before crossing over the timeline.
Yeah, that was a call that you don't see made often. Carla Fountain, the official who said that they had the control established in the front court, then stepped back court. I don't know about that call. We'll have to see that again, but no problem for Celeste Taylor to slice her way to the bucket. Huh, Eric?
Yep, she's got 7 points. Good start for Duke's leading scorer. Todd thought about the 3, but thought about it one step too long.
And this is what I was talking about, that previous over and back violation. Right near midcourt where Boston College was getting the steal. Does JoJo Lacey establish in the front court?
So it's ruling that that contact was made and it was sort of a dribble. She kind of just slapped it into her own dribble, but it's kind of close.
Yeah, in my estimation, that was not the correct call. That's one of those 7 Boston College turnovers.
There, got a steal. And then it's sort of like in hockey where you just take the penalty instead of giving up the breakaway. And foul committed by De Jesus.
Good foul, too. Not in the bonus. Taina Mayer, great quick hands. Just grand theft larceny on Vanessa De Jesus.
Wonder if they're discussing maybe if that's intentional.
It's not going to be. That's what Joanna Burnaby McNamee was asking the officials to consider at least. Common foul is the ruling, though, with 6.5 seconds to go in the quarter. And again, I'll say it was a good, smart foul.
Yeah. And that's where when you have this level of depth, and now it looks like they may actually go and take a look at this. Both teams are going to their respective huddles with 6.5 seconds to go. When you play 10 deep, you can afford a foul here potentially or a foul there potentially. And they will indeed go to the monitor.
The call on the floor is a common foul. The play is under review.
So 6.5 to go, 17-9 lead for Duke. And again, take another look at it here.
Yeah, the officials are looking to see if there's anything excessive here from De Jesus. Grabbing at the ankles of Taina Mayer, you can see. Now, I've been wrong before. I don't see anything there that would seem to warrant an upgrade to a flagrant.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at intent, okay, but if that's not what the review is here. The review is there anything excessive? And it certainly did not look like it there.
Let's take one more look just to be sure here. You see Mayer take it away from De Jesus. De Jesus knowing that it was going to be a breakaway layup otherwise, so just committing that foul. And she certainly did it intentionally,
right,
Eric, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a flagrant foul.
The call on the floor is confirmed common foul.
I think that's the right ruling, although Boston College doesn't have to be happy about it. Good job by the Zebras.
Coach is going to keep asking, but I don't think she's going to get the answer she wants. So remember, off a turnover, which created that foul. And Eagles with a chance here late. Lacey got to get it up, did not. And that's the defensive pressure by Duke that took away the opportunity for a shot. Celeste Taylor leads the way for Duke with 7 as the Blue Devils build up an 8 points first quarter lead.
My word is dream. Ever since I was a little girl, I was taught to dream big and chase that dream no matter what happens. Always stay the course and always have a dream.
I chose the word legacy. I chose this word because I feel that everybody should be able to leave their own legacy wherever they go. And sometimes it doesn't have to be the biggest thing or the action doesn't have to be huge, but just small little gestures of kindness and love can go a long way and spread your legacy throughout the world.
My word is unity. I chose unity because in the thick of it all, we all have to stick together and be one to make the world a better place.
And of course, along with this being the Play for K game, it is also Black History Month and our continued celebration of all the student athletes, and speaks so eloquently about so many different causes in their world right now. And one of the best parts about being able to watch and get to learn about these student athletes. We start the second quarter here at 17-9 Duke. The Devils finished that first quarter on an 11-2 run. Ava McGee in the game for Boston College for the first time. And Ashlyn Jackson, who we just heard from in the game for Duke. There is Mayer, and her first three-pointer of the game for Taina Mayer, the freshman from Boston. It's averaging 11 points per game to go along with 7 assists, as she's been masterfully at the point in her first season on campus.
There it is, the ACC's assist leader. Getting up her first shot of the game, hit it. Duke responds right away there with Jordan Oliver.
It's a Duke team that gets a ton of points off their bench. block there against Kennedy Brown.
She blocked it right off of Mayer. What a play. Gets her team a possession back. That's what you can do with 6 feet, 6 inch tall size on the interior.
Just to finish the point, Duke had 21 points off their bench in the win against Notre Dame on Sunday, outscoring Notre Dame 21-4 in bench points.
And what an impressive win that is in front of a sellout crowd in South Bend. Do that against a team that has Final Four aspirations and take over first place in the conference. How about Gekting there? Talking about a rim protector, Boston College has one of its own.
Averaging just under 2 blocks per game, one of the leaders in the ACC. She's been good on the offensive end so far with 6 points. Got it back, but the pass was just a bit too far, and Jackson read it well for Duke. Day Wilson, pull-up jumper. It's been a friendly spot for Duke today, though not there. And BC is back on the run. McGee got a piece of the offensive rebound. Possession looks like it'll stay here.
Oh, we saw Kennedy Brown get a block on one end. Maria Gekting says, I'll show you how to do it as well. Third in the conference coming in. Almost 2 blocks per contest.
BC does get it into Gekting. Working against Brown. Gekting throws it up. McGee read it well. And Ava McGee is on the board.
Well, her minutes have been increasing. Last 3 games, she's played double figures in minutes out there on the court for a freshman who's learning as she goes, getting better as the season goes on, starting to produce.
Richardson thought about it. Pull up, no. Brown with the offensive rebound, but the foul will go against Kennedy Brown.
Hey, gonna get an elbow here. After she grabs the offensive rebound, watch Brown. Gonna extend the arm a little bit here. Just enough there into the throat of Andrea Daly for the officials to catch her on it. 2 fouls on Kennedy Brown.
That's one of the big size advantages Duke has. And an offensive foul goes here against Boston College.
This could be Gekting.
And that's 2 on Maria Gekting.
Yep.
So both teams' bigs getting 2.
A matter of a few seconds. She was away from the ball, just trying to establish some position underneath the basket there, Eric. That called for being a little too aggressive.
And Gekting still on the floor for now with 7:15 to go in this first half. McGee got a piece of it, and that is going to Boston College.
We were talking about how Ava McGee has been pretty impressive of late. She scored a basket. Now watch this on the defensive end against one of the better guards in this conference. Cheyenne Day Wilson just knocked it right off her leg.
Eagles defense has been predicated on creating turnovers all year. Daly with the head fake. Got it to Todd, who stepped on the out-of-bounds line.
Here's turnover number 10 against Boston College. Out of bounds on the catch there. You can see that back foot from Tiana Todd was out on the sideline.
Ooh. Richardson inside, couldn't finish at the rim, and then Daly decided to not reach for it, but it is off of Boston College, so it will stay here.
Becoming a regular at the Heights is Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Brand Williams is here for the Notre Dame game last week. Ooh, boy, that was a heck of a possession for Reagan Richardson. Missed after the spin cycle earlier, got it back, and then she scores it on the inside. She earned those 2.
Absolutely. And here's the turnover created by Duke. It's only fitting that Duke went to the Celtics game last night, so Brent Williams comes to their game tonight.
This was last night at the TD Garden across town. Kara Lawson, of course, an assistant coach 4 years ago for the Boston Celtics. She's got a lot of ties to that organization. Duke has a 9-point lead here for the first time.
It was Taya Corisdale, the grad student, different Oregon State transfer. There's 2 of them on this roster, along with Kennedy Brown. This time a blocking foul will go against the Devils and the aforementioned Corisdale.
Oh, it's interesting. This is the first time Kara Lawson has played at Boston College in her 3 seasons as the Duke head coach. Just kind of worked out that way. Of course, her first year, Duke opted out due to COVID. So this is her first chance to play in her old stomping grounds where she was the NBA assistant coach.
And a bump there. Nair peeling away from Richardson. And Reagan Richardson called for the foul. Well, Duke, who's had a history of success in women's basketball, and has an opportunity today for the 1,000th win in program history.
And it didn't take Kara Lawson long to do it. Ooh, a lot of contact there. Van Timmeren getting some free throws out of that collision. You got to earn it against this Duke defense.
We mentioned the defensive points scored numbers and points allowed. It is, when Duke plays their kind of game this year, it has been a grinded out type of game. We mentioned that Duke has held their opponent under their season average in every game this season, including many opponents significantly so.
That a non-shooting foul as well, which is interesting. Looked like Van Timmeren had collected the pass, was going up to my eyes.
Couple of misses on the Boston College end.
Ends up being an empty trip.
Duke will slow things down with Cheyenne Day-Wilson. Felt like every week last year it was Day-Wilson or Gakdang for ACC Freshman of the Week. It was deciding between those two. They were kind of heads and shoulders above among the first years.
A great move again by Reagan Richardson. She's had a wonderful stretch here the last couple of minutes. It's kind of fooled Allie Van Timmeren into thinking she was going to pull the ball back out, and then ended up driving right to the hoop for that bucket. First double-digit lead of the night.
Nair was asking for his screen, now having to create. Todd got it off ahead of the timer. It looked like just a bit of miscommunication on that sequence. And Duke will take an 11-point lead to the break here on this Play 4K day inside Conti Forum. Boston College in its Play 4K day today, and anytime Play 4K and breast cancer awareness comes up immediately around the Boston College program, we think of Claire Droge. Eagles forward from 2001 to 2005, had an outstanding career helping lead Boston College to the 2004 Big East Championship, a couple of NCAA tournament berths, and Claire, of course, passed away from breast cancer in 2018. Certainly think of her every year as Boston College brings awareness to this disease in its Play 4K day.
Certainly added meaning for this BC program when they do this in February. We think of Claire often around these parts.
Richardson's played a nice game so far. That's 8 points for Reagan Richardson, the sophomore. Came in averaging 6.6 points per game.
She's been doing it with some relentless attacks of the rim. 3 baskets here of late, all going right to the bucket.
Lacey 3 ball, a little bit strong. And the rebound comes down to Celeste Taylor. Devils not afraid to work the shot clock down. Taylor falling away, jumper over Van Timmeren. And then on the foul will go against Duke on the rebound. Yeah, Heidi will be called for her second.
This is good defense here by Van Timmeren, forcing a tough shot from Celeste Taylor. There's Heidi right over the back. Bonus time, too, for BC. They're going to get free throws out of this. Should be McGee. She was the one boxing out there. That was the way you're taught to box out against a bigger player.
So we've talked about McGee's minutes increasing here, the first year from Washington, D.C. Trying to snap an 8-0 Duke run.
Boston College had a pretty good start offensively. Now you're starting to see the Duke defense assert itself. BC down to 30% from the field. Empty trip there. And a foul on the backcourt to boot.
It feels like so far you watch this Duke defense, and it's not necessarily that they're creating a bunch of turnovers. They certainly are, but I think it's a word that Kara Lawson used this week. We want to be disruptive. And what we've seen is they're extremely good at just taking you out of your rhythm, having to force things, not getting quality shots, what makes it so difficult to add points up and really score.
You got to have the athletes to do that as well. Celeste Taylor is about as good as it gets.
Richardson is on her game tonight. 10 points, only 3 shy of a season high.
Now she's showing it off from the mid-range there with that jump shot. So many experienced, good, long athletes that they've got. That makes that defense so hard to penetrate against. There's another turnover. That's off of Taina Mayer.
I thought it was off the leg of one of the Duke players, but it'll be Duke possession. It's a 10-0 Blue Devils run right now.
Now, all of a sudden, you're looking at Boston College with 13 turnovers. Can't do that. Stay in against a top 10 team.
Forresdale is fouled by Van Timmeren.
Tried to stay straight up defensively. Referee thought she just brought her arms down, Van Timmeren, a little bit too much to have ruled a no call. They had to give the foul, and now you got Forresdale at the line.
Very good free throw shooter, 20 of 22 on the season coming in. Duke is a team 75% from the stripe. Pretty good.
That kind of second quarter here for BC. McGee thought she had a player there streaking up that far sideline.
Coming up on 2 minutes remaining here in the first half. Jesus avoided the turnover. Richardson inside, counted and a foul.
But what a run for Reagan Richardson, the Georgia transfer, taking things over. What a second quarter, and we said it, just about all of this is going to the basket. That one off the dribble. This one, a ferocious rim attack. Saw her pull up in the mid-range a few possessions ago, and then this one finishing through the contacts. It's about the only blip, unable to complete the three-point play.
Run now is 13-0 Duke. They've outscored Boston College 15-5 here in this second quarter.
Yeah, Eric, over 6 minutes since Boston College registered a point.
Lacey on the drive, pretty good take, just couldn't finish at the rim. Another rebound down to Taylor. To Jesus, extra pass, Balagoon. Could not make the three. Taylor got a piece of it, but just couldn't control it before going out of bounds.
Well, how do you break a scoreless drought that's almost 7 minutes? I like what BC did in its last trip. Just try to attack the rim. Got JoJo Lacey right to the basket. When you do that, you're going to be less apt to turn the ball over, too, if you're going inside.
Daly for three. Couldn't hit it. And then a foul after the fact.
Yeah, that's a frustration foul right there. And plus, with Duke being in the bonus, you're giving them 2 free throws. About 80 feet from the basket there, Lacey. You know, sometimes when you have those struggles on the offensive end of the court, no matter what you do mentally, it starts to carry over onto the defensive side. I think we've seen that here from Boston College over the last 3 or 4 minutes.
The longer a run like this goes, the harder it feels like to break out of it, especially when you know the challenge of scoring against this Duke team.
How about that? Taylor misses 2 and tracks it down.
Kind of a rare poor day for Duke at the foul line. Blue Devils are just 1 of 5 from the stripe, but got the offensive rebound here in another sequence. De Jesus, no good from 3. Numbers back for Boston College. Daly was blocked. Balogun just held her position the whole way.
She's done that a couple of times here in the last minute or two. Balogun defending at the rim without fouling, and that's an art. Elizabeth Balogun, an experienced player, 5th year. She knows how to do it.
Ready to shoot for Duke here at the end of the half. It would count. No good from Balogun. Duke got a rebound but will not get a shot. And that will do it for half number 1. Duke finishes the first half on a 13-0 run. It's 32-14 Blue Devils.
Yeah, Boston College did not score a point for about the last 8 minutes of that quarter. We came into the game talking about that Duke defense.
It's 20 of the first 23 games of the season.
Off to their best start in 9 years. Been a while since they've been in the top 10 in the AP poll. And they've got some big aspirations in March this year. And that second half for BC offensively, starting off the way the first half ended. Turnover number 15.
Again, it's more of those turnovers like that. It's not necessarily live ball turnovers, but just making the pass that you want to make, taking that away, and making life extremely difficult. Taylor had a good start in the first quarter. Didn't have to play a ton of minutes in the second quarter, and that's kind of some of the benefit of having this much depth and this much of a rotation that Duke plays. One of the things that Kara Lawson talked about this week was, you know, it's one thing to say we have a 10-player rotation, but if only 6 are playing well, you don't really have 10, you have 6. And to Duke's credit this year, they've had 10 most nights.
We've seen 9 in this game, essentially. Not a lot of Ashlyn Jackson, the freshman, but they've all contributed. What is now a 15-0 run. Break this game open.
Brown inside against Van Timmeren. Remember, both Gakdeng and Van Timmeren, along with Lacey, playing with 2 fouls. And rebound down to JoJo Lacey.
I think that was part of the offensive struggles for BC when Gakdeng got that second personal foul.
Their right hand was a little strong. Not a bad look. Offensive rebound for Todd.
I think she rushed it a little bit.
Taylor again on the drive, dished it off for Brown. A good job to find it. I don't think she realized that pass was coming.
Hard to score inside against Maria Gakdeng, though. But she stands her ground. She's as good of a rim protector as there is in the ACC. Now that scoring drought is just about 10 minutes for BC. Oh, lid still on the basket.
That is out of bounds off of Cheyenne Day Wilson. Well, the win on Sunday against Notre Dame was important for a couple of reasons for Duke, most notably because it put them on top of the ACC standings for the first time this year.
Game clear of the Fighting Irish and Florida State. It's a chance to score at the foul line here for Gakdeng. Break that long drought that Boston College has been on. You see the Eagles have fallen towards the bottom of the conference here.
You know, Carol Lawson really didn't want to go there this week and, you know, said all the right things about how, you know, we haven't accomplished anything yet. Still got a third of the season to go. This is the toughest time of the year. But it's really a pretty notable accomplishment, that win on Sunday. I think sometimes we talk about statement wins and whatever that might mean, but truly to win at Notre Dame for the first time, to win in that style, in that fashion, and understanding that Notre Dame had a couple of players out. I think we all know that. But understanding, you know, only give up 52 points to Notre Dame to make a statement like that on the road and to get to first place, it's pretty impressive on how quick this turnaround has been for Duke. Balogun on the pull-up. Another offensive rebound for the Duke Blue Devils. Long three ball is pulled down by Daly.
Pretty good defensive start to the quarter for BC for 2.5 minutes. Walled up. Duke is just 1 of 5 from the field here to start the second half.
Lacey inside, kind of threw up a prayer. And the rebound on the outlet, and wide open is Richardson. It's a new season high, 14 points for Reagan Richardson.
They're going tough for JoJo Lacey, who's 0 for 6 after that miss following that Euro step she took. A long time since BC made one from the floor.
Daly will go to the line. Good physical play to get inside.
When you're not making shots during the flow of play, regular field goal attempts, that's your best opportunity to score. Attack the rim and try to get to the charity stripe. Gakdeng did it, and now Daly does it for Boston College.
And it's one of those stretches where it feels like it just kind of piles on to everything, right? You get frustrated on the defensive end, you get frustrated from the line. It just happens sometimes, but it's that relentless pressure that the Duke defense puts on you.
BC trying to change things up a little. Full court press off the made free throw.
And we'll shift into a bit of a man-to-man look. Also throwing that zone defense as well. At times, good take by Celeste Taylor, who's into double figures. 17th time this year she scored at least 10.
How quick was that? Off the bounce. Just a blow-by to get to the basket for Taylor. She is quick.
Van Timmeren for 3. That ball is long. And the rebound down to Day Wilson. Good move to draw the foul inside.
It was. A little behind the back. Razzle-dazzled for Cheyenne. Take a look at this. That'll free you up. Like a Magic Johnson type move for the Canadian. Mentioned it earlier. Last year, the coaches in the ACC selected her as the freshman of the year. And she's really come on offensively over the last few weeks.
It's kind of the one thing that stands out for Duke. We mentioned this, as good a free throw shooting team as they are. Just 1 of 6 today. An oddly bad night from the line, but that one is good.
I mean, if you look at it, 39 points about midway through the third quarter. You're not exactly lighting it up, setting the world on fire. It's just been the defense has been so totally dominant that Duke still leads by 23 points.
And it's kind of the choice and the recipe that Duke has chosen this year, and it has worked to quite a bit of success. Yeah, Heidi was called for the foul. That is her third. A bonus with 5:40 to go here in the third quarter. 39-16 Duke.
See if BC can get Gakdeng involved back offensively. Well, illegal screen on Van Timmeren. They'll give it back. 17 Boston College turnovers. But I think maybe the best chances you're going to get are to find Gakdeng. There's that shoulder there from Van Timmeren into Celeste Taylor that was called illegal.
It's felt like Duke's done a better job taking away Gakdeng underneath. Maria, 5 attempts from the floor. She's 3 of 5, 7.6 rebounds today. Taylor working against Daly, lost the handle on it, was stripped from behind. So possession will stay here with 5:12 to go in the third. Taylor wide open. Didn't quite hit the three. Then it bounces out of bounds off of Boston College. So Duke just 1 of 8 from 3 today. The Eagles just 2 of 10. It's a spot where Duke had kind of increased its percentage a little bit from behind the line in ACC play, up to nearly 39% from the stripe compared to closer to 30 in the non-conference. Gakdeng was there and commits the foul.
And a technical foul as well on BC to boot. You're going to have 4 free throws coming up for Duke.
39-16 the lead for Duke. Back to Conti Forum in a moment. Let's go back through that last sequence. The foul called on Maria Gakdeng and then a technical at the end of it.
So there's the contact. I think it does look like a good call on the common foul. And then Maria got a technical for what was, Carla found the referee told us, slamming the ball after the call. And we couldn't see it on that view if she slammed the basketball or not. But here's what the upshot of it is, Eric. Duke's going to get 4 free throws and the ball. So they got a chance. I mean, you could have a 6-point possession here. And by the way, Maria Gakdeng gets 2 fouls there to her credit. She's got 4.
So a night that has certainly not gone the way that Boston College was hoping for. And from bad to worse at the end of that foul for Gakdeng. But again, it has been all about the pressure from Duke. And this is some of the numbers that we've talked about. You know, they've held all their opponents this year under their average. 12 times they've held an opponent under 50 this year. Maybe even the most impressive of all of that wasn't under 50. It was holding Notre Dame to 52 in South Bend in front of a full house on Sunday to get into first place in the ACC.
It is quite a run that they're on there on that defensive side, and holding BC without a field goal now for almost 13 minutes.
So this is first the common foul shots, the third that Mia Heidi shoots.
This is it again. Now watch, there's the foul. We'll go back to that after the second free throw. Now they're going to get the technical for foul shots. Let Cheyenne Day Wilson take these here for the Blue Devils, and then they're going to inbound. And with 4 personal fouls, you got to have Gakdeng sitting on the bench, even with this being a 24-point lead. Wow.
I mean,
now just making 1 of the 4 free throws they got. Okay, so let's see what brought about the technical. Was that a slam of the ball? Seems to be nitpicking.
yeah, I would agree with that. Especially as the 4th foul. But that's the call, and on we go. Duke 23-4 over the last 15 minutes. Heidi get the bucket at the rim and the rebound down to Daly.
It's crazy. They could have had a 6-point possession. They only ended up getting 1.
I mean, the free throws are, man, it's 3 of 11 on the foul line for Duke today. You just get that onto their season average, and this game right now might be even more of a differential. Van Timmeren got space inside, but then was affected from behind. I think that was Mia Heidi who came in and made life difficult after Van Timmeren got in good position.
That was a good entry pass to Van Timmeren. She hesitated just a fraction too long here. Watch, she goes up right away. She's going to have an easier shot, but as you said, Heidi then was able to recover. Impacted that miss. It's incredible. I mean, the last field goal Boston College made was with about 8 minutes remaining in the second quarter.
Oliver, pull up from the free throw line, no. And out of bounds, it will stay here with Duke. It's been led by 14 from Richardson and 11 from Taylor. Oliver is blocked. Andrea Daly came over and got the rejection.
Andrea Daly, nice work here inside. She is an athletic presence. Perfect attack of that shot. And then Boston College gives up the foul on the inbounds play. Like that look just about says it all.
That's the third foul against JoJo Lacey. It's now been both ways on the offensive end. Duke's just 2 of their last 10 from the floor. Talked about the Boston College field goal drought. That free throw is good, though, for Corsdale.
You know, you really feel like this is a game that Boston College misses its leading scorer, rebounder, stealer, Dontavia Wagner. It's been out 5 in a row now with that injury that she suffered. And this is one where that absence is felt maybe more than the others. Just need another playmaker out there that Boston College hasn't been able to have.
So difficult to score to begin with. You lose one of your best options. Here's Van Timmeren, hands it off. Daly retreats, 5 to shoot. Daly on the drive is blocked, but a foul.
And Dontavia Wagner has to be as frustrated as anybody to not be able to be out there to help her team. Is Daly. Right-handed dribble and the attack of the iron. That's 4 fouls on Heidi. All 3 points this quarter for BC have come at the charity stripe.
Daly, who remember came off the bench today. The Eagles starting Allie Van Timmeren for the first time this year. Trying to match up a bit more size-wise. And Tiana Todd will come back into the game for Boston College. Ashlyn Jackson, McDonald's All-American and freshman into the game for Duke.
We were talking earlier in the game about how this Duke team went to watch the Boston Celtics last night. This defense we're seeing is reminiscent of what the Celtics did to the Sixers.
That's a good look to break the press. Kennedy Brown has 4 points. There, a fall-away jumper. McGee got an offensive rebound, was blocked by Jackson. And then Corsdale had the rebound for Duke. DeJesus, a little bit too strong off the rim. The Eagles will try and run a bit. Mayer launching, long 2 falls off. And then Van Timmeren diving down. Could not save it.
0 for 10 shooting the basketball this quarter. Not for lack of effort, not for lack of hustle. A great defense and just shots that players can make that are not falling here tonight for BC.
Open look, 3-ball, Jackson, no. Todd inside and was fouled. Tried to split a double team of Corsdale and Kennedy Brown. And the foul goes against Corsdale.
Yeah. Free throws here for Tiana Todd. I like that. I've said it a few times. Eric, if your shots aren't falling, and they're not, go to the rim and see if you can get yourself to the free throw line. That's what Boston College has done more and more effectively here in this third quarter.
The first points of the game for Tiana Todd. 2 for 2 at the line. Jackson gave it up to Brown, tried to find her positioning, somehow kept her footing. Put up with a pretty good look at the rim.
She did, and giving up a lot of size was Allie Van Timmeren. Did a nice job defending that.
There, pull-up jumper is good. So that ends the drought from the floor for Boston College. And 5 points in the game for Taina Mayer.
Over 16 minutes. That is one of the longest droughts you'll see. It has to feel good to see that go through the net.
Oliver inside. Jordan Oliver, who really came up big against Notre Dame on Sunday, coming off the bench. Did not play last year, redshirted due to an Achilles injury after coming in from Baylor. It's a point that Carol Lawson made this week. She said, you know, she's a fourth-year player, but really came off the bench in a limited role against Baylor, then didn't play all last year. So she's only played so many games despite being a fourth-year player, and now it's starting to settle in as she hits February in this fourth season.
That's another example of the amazing depth and what that can do for a team. That's an offensive foul. Yep, good call. DeJesus extending that arm. When you can take out Day Wilson and Taylor and Richardson, none of those three, the leaders tonight for Duke, are on the floor. You're bringing in players that are not that far of a drop-off. Carol Lawson has employed that bench to her advantage all season long.
It's allowed Duke to pick up defensively full court all year long. Why they're one of the best in the country. And adding to that today, Jackson out front, and that is an offensive foul. A little bit out of control, perhaps.
Yeah, I thought that Boston College might have gotten away with one here. Watch Daly bump into her.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the reason the foul comes out is because the arm gets extended into Daly right there. So Eagles possession. Just about a 2-second difference between the game and the possession. Todd couldn't save it. It was off her shoe.
And I will make this point, and you and I have questioned a few of the officials' calls tonight, but when Duke is playing and they play the way that they do, it makes it a very difficult game to officiate. You have a lot of physicality, hard-nosed defense, full court pressure. Those are the hardest games to referee.
Seconds to go here in the third. Corsdale gave it up. Oliver, jumper good. And that's how the third quarter comes to an end. It has been a dominant defensive effort by the 9th-ranked Duke Blue Devils. It's a 48-22 lead as we go to the 4th here in Chestnut Hill. Welcome back to Conti Forum, where Kara Lawson's team, the Duke Blue Devils, have the lead. Lawson, who is an outstanding player, first in her college days at Tennessee and then in the WNBA, long time as an analyst for ESPN, and was an assistant coach with the Boston Celtics, first female ever on the coaching staff in Boston. And of course, the last few years as the head coach of Duke, and a nice return trip to TD Garden last night.
Yeah, we were saying this earlier. First chance that she's had to bring her Duke team to Boston since she's become the Duke head coach. Speaking of the Celtics, Grant Williams, he's becoming ubiquitous in these parts, helping to toss some t-shirts. Grant posing with every fan that has asked him to take a selfie.
Yeah, for 2 games now, it's been really impressive. Also, Tennessee basketball player, same school as Kara Lawson.
That's
and they
right.
did overlap for a year in Grant's rookie season with the Celtics. Jackson on the run, and the lay-in gets Duke to 50 tonight. First 2 points of the game for Jackson. And an overall outstanding defensive effort by Duke so far tonight. Haley off the mark from 3. Duke, who moved into the top 10 of the AP poll this week for the first time since the final poll in the 2016-17 season. Jesus trying to go with the left hand, was affected by JoJo Lacey.
Got Gekdeng back on the court for BC with 4 fouls. You can't save her any longer. You need her if you're going to have any chance to try to get back into this game right now.
Haley looking for Gekdeng, threw it away. Well, Richardson early was really good. 12 of her 14 points came in that first half. And a long drought without a field goal for Boston College. Brown to the bucket, right hand, no. Got it back though, and Kennedy Brown has 6.
I think that's an example of a player just not wanting to foul out of a game. Maria Gekdeng, generally a much more staunch defender than what you saw in that possession. Wanted to make sure she wasn't whistled, and that ended up having Kennedy Brown get a couple of easy looks.
Gekdeng trying to find space, double team comes. Really ended up as almost a triple team with Jackson reaching in. Kick ball.
We've seen this from the jump. Duke disrupting. This time it's Brown, the 6'6" center, standing her ground and allowing the guard to come take the ball away.
Corsdale in the drive, that's an offensive foul.
I really think that if you're going to look for positives on the BC coaching staff, the defense has been good tonight. Duke is only shooting 42%, 38 here in the second half, but 42% is pretty good defensive effort. Only giving up 52. Gotten more stops.
Still well under its season average on the offensive end, but they have made a commitment to defense this year, and it has been pretty outstanding tonight. McGee reaching for it, got it back. Finds JoJo Lacey, handoff, Gekdeng blocked. Second effort goes. 9 points for Maria Gekdeng.
just so hard to hit a shot against this team. That's what it took from BC. One blocked, but staying with it, get the putback there. It was great ball movement to get Gakdeng that first look.
Into the corner for Jackson, and it's good. Ashlyn Jackson knocks down the three-pointer.
This feels like a pretty good statement that Kara Lawson's team is making here tonight. Taking over sole possession of first place in the conference last weekend. Trying to prove to the rest of the ACC that's not a mistake. They deserve to have that top spot. Dominant effort here tonight.
Air had to get that up at the end of the timer. DeJesus got it. That is her first points of the game.
A little up and under there on Taina Mayer.
10 have scored tonight for Duke.
Look at the preseason poll for whatever it's worth. Duke was picked right in the middle of the conference. They were the number 7 team.
Well, remember this Duke team that finished 10th last year in the ACC? They lost 5 of their last 6 games at the end of the regular season. End up losing in the second round to Miami, who they'll play next on Sunday. That will be part of the ACC Sunday slate, which begins at noon on ACC Network, with Boston College traveling to number 14, North Carolina. Then a great ranked matchup at 2 o'clock, number 19, Florida State, number 11, Virginia Tech. And the ACC Network triple header concludes with Syracuse and Notre Dame.
That Florida State team, really, you put the 2 biggest surprises in the conference this year, Duke and Florida State, in whichever order you want. Florida State right now just a game out of first. They beat Duke in that game in Tallahassee a couple of weekends ago. I think we're probably going to be able to say that it'll be 13 of the 25. Saw that graphic there, holding opponents to under 50 points in a game. Pick BC to double its scoring output for the whole game in the next 5 minutes to avoid that.
Kayla Lozama comes into the game for Boston College for the first time. Elizabeth Balagoon back in, along with Cheyenne Day Wilson for Duke. 4:56 to go here in the fourth. And the 9th-ranked Blue Devils are in control. 57-25 lead for Duke as we play here in the fourth quarter. Take another look at the ACC standings, which sees Duke on top right now. But, I mean, you go from Notre Dame at 2 all the way down to Miami. Just, one loss separates a bunch of teams. So there's still a lot to be decided here in this last month of the season.
And by the way, if you look at any of the NCAA tournament prognostications, like ESPN's Charlie Cream, for example, the entire left side of that screen appear to be all safely in the NCAA tournament field this year.
Knocked away. It will stay here. This is what you're talking about with the projections towards the NCAA tournament. Duke projected as a 3 seed right now. We see a lot of ACC teams on that list.
Yeah, the only one that's really even kind of on the bubble is Miami. They've been playing very well of late.
Maria Gakdeng finishing inside, so that's now 5 games in a row in double digits for Maria Gakdeng. Nice answer at the other end for Duke. Three points for Heidi in the game. Mayer pull-up jumper. There is Mayer following up, and that is knocked away. And a bunch of subs are going to come into the game here for Duke, including Shea Bolin, who is a freshman from right down the road in Raynham, Massachusetts. 2022 McDonald's All-American, was an outstanding player in this area. Three-time captain at Bridgewater Raynham, and a highly ranked recruit.
And I'm not kidding when I tell you there's about 100 fans who have come to sit behind that Duke bench that all just stood up in unison. That's about as big of a cheering section as you'll ever get. What a cool moment for Shea to get into this contest.
Monty Lewis is in there as well. There's DeJesus to the bucket.
They want the statisticians to give Bolin an assist on that. She got it.
She did. Good for her. On the Eagles side, Allie Carmen's in the game for the first time, as well as Ayla Lozama, as we talked about a bit ago. Fastball out in front for Oliver. Ties the season high with 10 points for Jordan Oliver. Down to 3 minutes remaining here in Chestnut Hill. Duke looking to put away its 21st victory of this season. Lewis inside and is fouled. Well, if you look at what's on the horizon here for Duke, it is a difficult stretch to close out the year. I mentioned Miami on Sunday, but then they will take on number 11 Virginia Tech on the road. And after Virginia, they'll finish up with their triangle rivals, NC State and North Carolina, to finish the season. Now, both of those games are at home, but especially that last game, North Carolina and Duke, could have massive implications on not only the ACC tournament, but on the national tournament picture.
Well, and if they're going to get that regular season conference championship, they're going to have to earn it. Got a 1-game lead going into this weekend. Good hands by DeJesus there.
Read that really well and picked it off clean. See, they're trying to get it inside to Bolin. It's Lewis who takes it. Just couldn't finish. But then Bolin fighting for the rebound. Ends up down with Taina Mayer. 2:13 to go. There is Todd inside. Everything but. Pretty good take.
Just that kind of night. Iron unkind. Now, Boston College, it doesn't get any easier, Eric. Got to go play at the 14th ranked team in the country coming up on Sunday. And 3 of their final 4 games on the road.
Armin inside, had a good look, but Bolin affected the shot.
Really difficult week, and you just hope at some point maybe Dontavia Wagner can come back and help you. Arguably the team's most important player for the first 3 months of the season. And boy, her absence has been felt.
Another look inside for Lewis, and the foul.
Been a really nice second half for Ashlyn Jackson. Drive and dish from that freshman out of Texas. And the Duke bench loves it. Some happy Blue Devils in Chestnut Hill. I told you this earlier. They haven't even played in this building in over 4 years before tonight. Enjoying their return to the Northeast.
Last time they were here was an important week for BC. They had wins over Duke and then a last-second winner on the game-winning shot from Emma Guy against Notre Dame. Out of bounds, it will stay here with Boston College with 1:13 to go. And a 66-27 lead for Duke.
This is just an example of what the BC coaching staff has had to deal with due to the lack of bodies. You'd love to get some other players into the game at this point. You just don't have anybody to put in. And with Carmen and Lozama and McGee. That's the deep bench, if you will, that Joanna Burby-McNamee has. They're all out there. But there's no other options.
And it will stay here.
We have officially conceded that Boston College is not going to get to 50 points tonight with that graphic that you just saw updated.
1:04 to go tonight. Obviously, there's still a long way to go, but when you look at this Duke team's prospects, so often, not that defense is overlooked. It's obviously part of the conversation, but the teams that score a bunch of points are the teams that jump to the forefront. But what do you feel like this Duke's team's chances are as they head towards the end of the season when they just are about as good defensively as we have seen a team in this league?
You're not going to get blown out. That's the big thing. When you get into March, you're going to be in every game you play because of the way that they play defense. And the other thing is, I think you love for Duke the fact that you got so much experience. Now, not all of it has been in Durham, but you got players like Celeste Taylor, who's played in big games with Texas. Balogun's played in Balogun, I beg your pardon, in Louisville, big games.
There is Bolin, and hits a big shot in her home state. Special moment for her, and then a foul on Boston College on the offensive end against Allie Carmen. How about Shea Bolin, the Raynham, Mass native, getting on the scoreboard?
A foot inside the arc, so give her 2. She doesn't care, and neither does the entire town of Raynham. Came up in mass here tonight to Chestnut Hill. That was her 8th basket of her freshman season. What an effort. 3rd straight win for Duke, and coming off that Notre Dame win, no letdown whatsoever.
It is a program record for fewest points allowed in a game. And what a way to put away the 1,000th win in the history of Duke women's basketball.
Held Boston College into single digits in all 4 quarters scoring.